Today's show is sponsored by Taos. Yeah, this is an ad, but Taos wants you to know the technology challenges of tomorrow and expectations of today aren't slowing down anytime soon. While most of today's businesses know digital transformation is no longer just optional, even the most successful businesses still find adopting and advancing their cloud journey too difficult or too complex to navigate. The good news is you're not alone. In fact, many of the world's best brands turn to Taos every day to help solve their toughest technology challenges. Explore why Taos was recently positioned by Gartner in the Magic Quadrant for Public Cloud Infrastructure Professional and Managed Services by visiting taos.com. That's TAOS.com. Taos.com.
Cloudcast Media presents from the massive studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the Cloudcast with Aaron Delp and Brian Gracely, bringing you the best of cloud computing from around the world.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to the Cloudcast. We're coming to you live from the massive Cloudcast studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hope everyone is both staying safe and starting to look forward to the summer. Here in the United States, we just recently had Memorial Day holiday, which is kind of the unofficial beginning of summer for many of us, and looking forward to getting away, getting out on holiday this summer as well. Let's dig right into Cloud News of the Week. Got a couple stories. Two of them are actually Cloudcast alumni. Number one, we have Docker. Docker is kind of getting back to basics, as we've seen Cloudcast alumni many times over, and we've been to Docker cons, and they've been a sponsor as well in the past. And have taken, of course, as many have known publicly, a lot of money here in the past, and then kind of spun off the businesses and kind of getting, spin off the enterprise stuff and get back to the core, if you will, which was all about the developers. And what they're really looking to do here is take the company back to its roots, build up the developer ecosystem, and kind of hit the reset button in many ways. A bit of a, in my opinion, a cautionary tale of what can happen with too much VC funding and growing a little too fast. And I'm happy to see them hitting the reset here, and really interested to see what they will do going forward as well. For story number two, we have the 2020 Developer Survey is out. Stack Overflow does just a fantastic job with this. And for 2020, nearly 65,000 developers participated. And it's really great to dig into the data and learn about many different things, about the areas, the development tools of choice and of interest year to year, and also a little bit more about where everyone is going with their careers as well from a career path standpoint. So if this is of interest to you, I definitely encourage you to check out the link for that. And for story number three, we actually have a bit of the Wayback Machine here. A long time ago, Cloudcast alumni, Thousand Eyes. Thousand Eyes was actually on the podcast. I had to go back and Google it in 2013. And Mohit Lad, the CEO, was on at the time and still going strong, and recently acquired by Cisco. Numbers weren't published, but rumors are nearly $1 billion is what they went for. And if you're not familiar with Thousand Eyes, it's multi-cloud network monitoring. And really, really great technology, has been really well adopted. They've been building things steadily over the years. And actually, I didn't realize this, but almost 100 of Fortune 500 companies actually use Thousand Eyes as well. So they've been really good at building a very successful business model over the years, and really happy to see them with a successful exit, and certainly wish them and Cisco the best going forward. And so with that, we're going to jump into our main topic this week. For our main topic, we're going to be talking to Clari, more specifically the CTO of Clari, Venkat, and about our topic this week, AI for the mainstream.
Today's show is sponsored by Studio 3T. We all know MongoDB is easy. Now make it powerful. Studio 3T is the best IDE on the market to manage your MongoDB databases securely. They take customer feedback seriously, and their users have helped them build features like the nifty import-export wizard, which lets you run, automate, and schedule your import-export tasks easily. SQL, JSON, CVS, and Mongo dump formats are supported, and you can export entire collections or views, current queries, current query results, and specific documents too. Studio 3T's SQL query feature is another great way to save time. Write SQL expressions and joins to query MongoDB and view your SQL query's equivalent code in multiple languages. If you're unfamiliar with MongoDB language, Studio 3T's Visual Query Builder offers a simple yet powerful drag and drop method to find what you need, fast. Get a free 30-day trial, no credit card needed, at studio3t.com/cloudcast. Today's show is sponsored by Datadog, a monitoring platform for cloud scale infrastructure and applications. Datadog provides dashboarding, alerting, application performance monitoring, and log management in one tightly integrated platform, so you can get end-to-end visibility quickly. And it integrates seamlessly with AWS, so you can start monitoring EC2, RDS, ECS, and all your other favorite AWS services in minutes. Visualize key metrics, set alerts to identify anomalies, and collaborate with your team to troubleshoot and fix issues fast. Try it yourself by starting a free 14-day trial today. Listeners of the Cloudcast will also receive a free Datadog t-shirt. So go to datadog.com/cloudcast. That's datadog.com/cloudcast.
And we're back. Just Aaron this week, and we're going to dig back into a topic that we've been dabbling with off and on, and really fascinating topic, and that is around AI and artificial intelligence, and more specifically, an application to maybe an industry you may not think about, as a top use case, and so really want to dig into that a little bit, and so in order to do that, we have Venkat Rangan, co-founder and CTO at Clari. Venkat, why don't you go ahead and do a quick introduction and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi, Aaron. First of all, thank you for having me. Great to be here. I got my start in technology as a software developer. And over the years, I have witnessed mini computers, PC revolution, client-server computing, Web 2.0, movement to the cloud, and lately AI and machine learning. When I completed my master's in computer science, at the risk of dating myself, the new emerging computing platform then was the mini computer. Think digital equipment, PDP, and VAX computers, Wang Labs, word processing platform, etc. This was a time when Ethernet was moving from coax cable in research labs into small commercial deployments in R&D labs. I got my start as a developer of network troubleshooting, network performance monitoring, and network management solutions. This company was acquired by Hewlett-Packard, and after this, I did a stint at Microsoft in their back office teams. A couple of years later, I moved to the Bay Area, joining a startup specializing in application performance management. This company was eventually acquired by Lucent Technologies. Besides getting a lot of technical training, this startup helped me get connected with many brilliant minds in the Valley, as well as investors and mentors like Jim Getz at Sequoia Capital. I did a couple of follow-on startups, Rhapsody Networks, a storage virtualization company, and then Clearwell Systems, a company that applied a lot of vertical search, machine learning, and AI for electronic discovery. After its acquisition by Symantec, we built Clari, a company focused on transforming revenue operations.
Today, we're going to dig back into AI as a topic. And your introduction was really good because for us, we want to kind of step back and start at the start. Your current role, you've been involved in technology a lot over the years, and Clari has been around for a while. And so what compelled you to focus on this space and revenue generation for AI in particular?
Sure, Aaron. My first introduction to AI was at Clearwell Systems. The goal behind Clearwell was to automate the back office work related to litigation and electronic discovery. We transformed the whole process around e-discovery by applying AI and automating the process of, essentially culling and identifying relevant documents and preparing for legal review. A decade back, the use of AI in business applications like this was actually very limited. Back in those days, we used the most current machine learning techniques for document classification, like support vector machines, concept search, analysis of parts of speech for natural language processing, tagging, etc. And all of that came into good use when it came down to helping legal teams understand the nature of litigation that they have in their hands, as well as to prepare for e-discovery requests. We actually transformed the way entire e-discovery process was run, and riding on that, we achieved a run rate of 100 million in revenue, and were eventually acquired by Symantec in 2011. Now looking back at it, our first foray into AI kind of made us wonder what machine learning could do to other areas of enterprise business processes and business functions. And this is when we noticed that the whole process of selling by sales teams was actually very hard. And there was a lot of knowledge about a buyer's journey that's in the digital activity trail that sales teams leave behind. And so our initial thought was to take the same machine learning and AI concepts and apply it to all that digital business activity data. And we then set about looking at all the use cases and business processes around sales cycle and introducing analytics and AI in each step of that process. And once we did that, we then began to expand Clari's AI to cover all aspects of revenue operations, the process that revenue teams, sales, marketing, customer success engage in during the process of generating revenue. And what we observed was these teams were often disconnected, operating in their own silos and misaligned throughout the buyer's journey. And just bringing all of the data together, building historical context for all their past activities and applying methodical machine learning and AI to that could actually help really these teams with all the insights that they need in order to make great business decisions. And stepping back, we actually think revenue generation is arguably the most important activity of every company, right? Every company wants to grow their revenue, and so our singular mission is to help them in that process. So yeah, it's a real focus on helping our customers in really understanding all their revenue paths and helping them optimize every path that they have.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Venkat. And it's interesting for me because I feel like AI in general has suffered from a bit of a perception issue at times. It's often seen as a little unapproachable at times, with a pretty high barrier to entry. If I'm a technologist and I want to explore this space, and we've spoken to companies in the past about very specific industry or vertical applications, let's say manufacturing, for instance. But this application to a softer side of the business, if you will, is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And so many architects, are our listeners, and we have a lot of practitioners out there versus, say a data science background or an AI and ML specific background. So how do we solve this problem of bringing AI to the mainstream?
Yeah, that's a great observation, Aaron. It's true that data scientists often focus on areas such as model effectiveness, model accuracy, and performance. And some of the metrics that they measure and report often are esoteric, right? Things like ROC and area under the curve, and all of those metrics really makes it difficult for users and practitioners to understand. And this is where some of the things that Clari has done really been super valuable and helpful. What we do is really understand the specific business use cases and scenarios where AI can help and inform the business user. What we do is we introduce AI-driven insights as part of the workflow of doing the normal day-to-day work. Sure, behind the scenes, there are algorithms, feature engineering, data pipelines, training models. But if the results are delivered in a way that fits with their use cases, it's super helpful in addressing this gap. Just to give an example, Clari evaluates risk on all sales opportunities and presents a score as part of pipeline inspection, manager review of opportunities, etc. And when we do that, it just comes across in a very non-threatening way. Second area that we do is also really provide proper justification and explanation for the results, right? And going back to the example, in addition to providing the score, we also provide top factors that contributes to the score as sort of like an explanation feature. And lately, this is an important area in data science. A lot of modeling around interpretability of models and things like Lime have come in and tried to, address this gap as well. But overall, I see more and more AI-driven insights in mainstream applications. And with the continued introduction of AI, will take care of this gap and it'll bridge this gap, I think.
Yep. And to even maybe take it one step further, what I've always been thinking about, okay, in order for something like that to happen, what does our industry need, right? Is it really, really deep data lakes? And because of these deep data lakes, is it something that it has to be a SaaS service at the public clouds? Or is it something like something maybe a little bit more like this, where it is a practical AI application of in-house data? And so maybe let's talk about that real quickly. What needs to happen in your mind to take this one step further and make it more successful? Is it, everything is SaaS based? Is it public cloud based? Is it on-prem data? Like, tell us a little bit more about the practical aspects of that as well.
Yeah, great question. Just watching the advances over the last, decade or so, we've seen the use of SaaS, cloud-based delivery as really a massive accelerator for making AI that much more within reach of business applications and business use cases. Again, going back to Clearwell days, all we had was open source libraries like libsvm to start your AI machinery. But these days, with frameworks like TensorFlow, SageMaker, and with all the maturity in AI technology, proven algorithms are readily available. And a lot of the uncertainty, research phase uncertainty around AI has been reduced dramatically. But now what I see is like what you were alluding to, Aaron, things like data lake, the machinery around that, all of that. How do you go about building a scalable data pipeline? How do you scale feature analysis, and what do you need to do to actually get something going in production? I also see a lot of transformation happening with DevOps. DevOps are constantly reinventing all of the standard techniques to cope with what AI requires, right? How do you manage and deploy thousands of compute instances to scale the solution? How do you monitor the performance on a day-to-day basis? And when it comes to things like tuning hyperparameters or watching the performance, how do you go about actually automating all of this infrastructure? That's where I think more and more investments need to happen. And I see a lot of people trying to do that. The second place where I see a lot of effort being put in, maybe with limited results, is with many companies trying to build an internal data science team and kind of build an ad hoc data science solution to quote unquote solve problem of the day, right? This might be the finance team saying, if we were to reduce the budget on marketing, what would be the outcome, right? So it's kind of on a ad hoc basis. And sometimes it works, sometimes it runs into challenges, and a lot of the times the staffing itself is a problem, where data scientists being very expensive resource, internal data science teams have a challenging time to conceptualize, build the team, and maintain it, and also maintain the solutions they created, right? So this is where taking the concepts that are done at an internal level and somehow apply a level of rigor and continuity and bring that into a proper infrastructure and automate the process of signal acquisition, building long-term time series data, put in all the data cleansing effort, which often takes up like 80% of the effort in introducing data science, right? All of that, I believe, can be automated. And this is where SaaS is a great approach, right? If we can take all the common elements that revenue teams need and put it into a SaaS application, put it into a service model, into public cloud, that really is helping in that cause. A third aspect of this transformation is really about standardizing some of the operations, some of the aspects of business processes. Again, many of the revenue teams follow certain methodology, but this is where we could use something like a revenue operations reference model to codify revenue processes, introduce operational metrics, and then bring in AI-driven insights into that process. I think that's a mouthful in terms of all the different things, but I do see a lot of work to be done, and the road ahead is going to be, even more expanding and larger.
And Venkat, that's such a good summary. And what's we touched on it lightly earlier, but I want to dig just a little bit deeper on this for a second, because this is fascinating for me personally. I've been in field sales for years, and closing a deal or even predicting pipeline or, all of these other aspects of sales, it is somewhere between complete and utter guesswork at times, all the way to sometimes, decently precision rocket science level analysis. But AI as an application, at least the ones I've seen up until now, have been more about, let's say manufacturing, for instance. It's all about optimization and optimization at scale and very applied black or white answers. Sales as an industry is anything but black and white. If anything, it tends to be an extremely emotional and relationship driven at times. And so tell us a little bit more about the origins of all of this and the application of, this softer side, if you will, of AI.
Definitely. Yeah. So in terms of sales, you're right. There is a lot of relationship building, human connections, but there's also a rigor to the selling process. As you try to scale, you imagine a company that has 1,000 account execs, right? And now you need to apply a rigor in the approach to selling. And that rigor itself introduces a little bit of a process around managing all of the interactions, tracking your buyer's journey. And at the end of the day, growing revenue requires you to be able to answer at the highest level, are we going to hit our number? Are we working on the right deals? Do we have the right sales motions in place? And what can we do to coach and help our sellers get better at what they do, right? So this is where it's not obvious, but it's really clear to me and us as a company that by looking at all of the historical data, getting the answers to these questions with all the data analysis and presenting that still for the human to evaluate and act on is really what we want to present for consideration, right? So this is where AI comes in. We detect patterns and we are able to present and deliver key insights on where they are, where they need to go, and what the risk levels are for their business, right?
And we're right at about time. And so, Venkat, where can everyone find the company, find you, and learn more about what you have coming up at Clari?
Sure. We have a lot of new initiatives. Again, just looking at AI and machine learning perspective, we are bringing in new technologies like, reinforcement learning, deep neural networks for all the great opportunities that we face, specifically around how do you close the gap? How do you evaluate various scenarios? Even today, for example, just looking at COVID and its impact, how do you bring an external factor and actually get some revenue confidence in the forecast, right? So this is where we are focused on, and we will continue to innovate and build great value for our customers. You can obviously visit us at clari.com or reach me on my Twitter handle, Venkat Rangan 01.
Venkat, thank you so much for your time today. And on behalf of Brian, who wasn't able to make it this week, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to everyone next week.
Thank you for listening to The Cloudcast. Please visit thecloudcast.net to find more shows, show notes, videos, and everything social media.